about that. All right, so I have 5 basic solutions. There's not 1 or 2 or 10 that's going to end all the gun violence in this country, but I'm going to list you my 5.
Sure.
And I want to get your thoughts on this. Number
Absolutely.
1, an assault weapons ban. In the early 90s, Bill Clinton had passed an assault weapons ban, and then Republicans allowed it to fizzle out. If you look at the gun violence before the assault weapons ban expired and then after, gun violence went back up. That's number 1. Number 2, red flag laws. Now, in some states, we do have red flag laws.
We have one here in Nevada.
Yes, some of them are not enforced.
Right.
Example, it should be a case-by-case basis. If a neighbor doesn't like you and they call up and say, hey, this guy just threatened me, that's not cause to take someone's guns away.
Right.
However, if you have a voicemail of a husband calling his wife or ex-wife or whoever saying, I'm going to come home and I'm going to kill you with my gun, then yes, in some states, he'll be arrested, but he can buy a gun the next day. We need to enforce red flag laws. That's number 2. Number 3, we need to raise the age from 18 to 21. And for those of you out there that say, what about the 18-year-olds in the military? They're trained on how to use the weapons. We need to raise the age from 18 to 21. That is number 3. Number 4, a lot of people just throw out mental illness and they don't have solutions. I'm not going to do that. Yes, we have to take care of people that are mentally ill. Example, the shooter in Tennessee was getting help with the mental illness that person was experiencing. Should not have been allowed to purchase a gun legally.
Right.
If you are getting any sort of help or there are any red flags that would show that this person is mentally ill, they shouldn't be allowed to purchase a gun until they are evaluated and given the okay. That's
And before you get to number 5, let
Yeah.
me address that issue because that's really important. There's something interesting that happened. The credit card companies were ready to provide information to the government concerning purchasers of guns. And the Republican state's attorneys and U.S. attorneys all across the country stopped them in their tracks. That would have served as a deterrent to a lot of people because they use credit cards to buy those guns. And then if you see a person is buying several guns in a short period of time, then you know that they need investigation.
Absolutely, I agree. Number 5.
Yes.
I know that you have the right to bear arms, and it's not a right, it's a privilege to drive a car. So I don't need people to make that argument with me. But when you get your driver's license, and a car could be used as a deadly weapon, right? We have a lot of car accidents every year. You have to be trained on how to drive the car. You have to register your car. You have an instructor that needs to make sure you know how to operate the vehicle. They check your eyesight, your health. You're telling me we shouldn't have that same standard for guns? You should have to register your gun. You have to register to vote, right? Register your gun, number 1. Number 2, have some basic training. I'm not saying you need 100 hours of training. The government will pay for it. Have some basic training, couple hours, so you know how to hold a weapon and how to use a weapon. And yes, you should have to register your gun, and let's make sure that you can see. Because I don't want somebody blind owning a gun.
Right.
Those are, now I can give you more
Now,
things.
let me address some of these real quick.
Sure.
First of all, I support the Second Amendment. But keep in mind, the framers of this Constitution never saw an assault weapon.
Right.
They saw muskets. Muskets were a totally different, and they had militias.
Right.
Those were totally different circumstances.
Different times.
So we have to come to grips with reality. There have to be reasonable gun laws. There have to be reasonable background checks.